up, YouTube?
What's up?
It's your boy Sula.
Milo.
What's up, everybody?
This is Zach Kubich. He's with us. He's from our hometown. Just gonna talk, have a good time. It's good old dog talks. We're kind of throwing ideas around, So I guess we kind of need to think about that part.
Yeah. So what the entire concept of this entire series is trying to talk to interesting people who haven't really shown out their stories or anything like that. So Zach is a really good friend of ours, and he's had a really interesting life when it comes to medical procedures, and we're gonna get more into it. But what we're really trying to cover is just little normal people's lives, day-to-day lives, and with the struggles that they go through. So it could possibly uplift somebody else who's having a tough time, and trying to find some sort of light in their life and a lesson that they can possibly learn. We're gonna have some serious talks, but we're also gonna have some funny talks. So
yeah. That's kind of all this is gonna be. We kind of threw around ideas, just talk to people, interview, and all that stuff. But more so, it's just conversations, and this is just as much a conversation between us as it's with you guys. So if these stories come through, if you guys have stories, if you guys want to talk to us,
yeah,
we're more willing. The more people we can meet, the more stories we can hear, the better it is.
Just put it in the comments down below, or just find us on Instagram. We'll probably have our Instagram tags. Just DM us, and then we'll get back to you.
Yeah. So Zach, you want to tell us a little about you, man?
Yeah.
How's it been going lately?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. Just working on getting hired at Certera Wellness.
It's a big step.
Yeah, dude, I'm nervous.
What made you get into
I am
Certera?
nervous.
Why Certera?
I really like the employees there.
Yeah.
Honestly. I've had my medical card for a couple years now, and in multiple different areas in Florida.
Yeah.
And there's just something about this Certera that I've always been drawn to. It's always been my most comfortable dispensary. And yeah, they offered me the spot on the job. I walked in there on my birthday to get my free joint, and they said it's about time you started working. And I said, you guys are probably right.
It's pretty cool, man.
So I was hired that day.
Yeah, the medical scene has been growing huge in the past few years.
Yeah, it really has.
Have you seen any differences? Because I feel like, based off the story we're going to get into, you've kind of had your eye on it since it started. So,
yeah.
Have you seen any differences that's kind of gone on so far?
Yeah, mainly product differences. The dispensaries now, right when I first got my medical card, it was a crazy deal if I was to walk in and they had flour. That would be a big deal. Yeah, okay. And today, it'd be a big deal if they didn't at any dispensary. It's really, they're coming out with things now, and I'm telling them to relax. They're getting really, really good at making weed. Really good.
Yeah.
So that was one thing I didn't expect it to progress that fast. The amount I have to choose from. I can get chocolate bars and brownies and all different variations of concentrates now, and that wasn't possible 2 years ago.
Yeah. I think the next big question would be is, do you really think it helps?
Or let's have a little backstory of was it easy to get your medical card? What made you get your medical card?
Okay, so for me, it was quite easy. Just due to my medical history and where I was at the time, and the way we set it up. I still think it's probably pretty easy. If you want to go out and get your medical card, I think you can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Even if it's not your primary care doctor. There's plenty of people locally that are giving out medical prescriptions, that are even just doing that strictly. That's their job, is to write medical marijuana prescriptions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got my original card I got while I was living in Gainesville. And I just saw a sign that said, get your medical marijuana card. And
that's Florida, man.
Yeah, I'd been recreationally using, and I was like, it would be kind of nice.
Which we do not condone. not
yeah, no. I'm not saying do it.
Yeah.
That's why I got my medical card.
Like,
Do it
we're
the right
talking
way.
about it
Yeah.
because like he actually has like a
Yeah.
medical issue. That's
Yeah.
why, you know.
Definitely. So this man does it legally. We're gonna get into the reason he does it, you know, and all that stuff too. But definitely be safe. Don't do illegal things.
Don't get it from drug dealers either.
That's right.
You never know what they're putting in.
Don't. But well, now that we've gotten that little sidetrack, you want to get in, you know, why you're here. Dude, I've heard your story, you know, from you, from your mother.
I've heard it from other people.
Yeah,
and I've heard like the
Yeah.
little puzzle pieces. I've heard it from like.
And I feel like I kind of had a unique experience of, you know, seeing a long time ago and seeing you now. I mean, that's just mind blowing just to see the journey you've been on.
It is mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long, strange trip. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, shoot, dude, start from the beginning and
let's start
on the ride.
I guess the beginning really would be my allergies.
Your
I've
allergies?
always had allergies.
Okay.
Growing up, terrible allergies, and I'm allergic to everything under the sun. Literally
Really?
everything. And after a while, I was getting these chronic sinus infections, and it became so chronic to the point that antibiotics just weren't working anymore, and I was sent to an ENT and then CT'd, and we found out that I was going to need sinus surgery.
Okay. Like just a simple one?
Yeah, so the right sinus right here
Mhm.
in front on my forehead was fully opacified, they call it. It was just full of bacteria, mucus.
Okay. That's what opacify means?
And it wouldn't drain out. So they had to go in there and physically scrape everything out.
Mhm.
And it seems that during that procedure, a mistake was made of some sort. A nerve was nicked. Some kind of irritation was caused to my trigeminal nerve in my head. And since that day, I've been living with how I describe it as a brain freeze to most people. It's the nerve that's affected is the one that causes brain freeze in normal people. So that's really the only thing I have it to compare to. But yeah, after that first surgery and that initial injury, we didn't know that my nerve was what was damaged, because the doctor's not going to come out and go, made a mistake, slipped, cut your son's nerve. And honestly, the doctor might not have known she did it. I don't really blame her. I don't have any animosity towards her. But because we did not know it was nerve damage, we spent the next year treating my sinuses as if they were still messed up.
Did that drive you crazy? I'm sure
it did. It was confusing.
Yeah.
It was confusing.
Did it ever feel like the pain was just like numb sometimes?
I don't think, probably not at that time, not yet. I was still in the mindset that it was an acute issue. And like when I say acute, I mean, I thought it was going to come to an end. I thought I was going to run into a doctor and he's going to go, this medicine is going to make you feel better, or we're going to do this procedure and it's going to fix it.
Yeah.
But the longer it went, the more doctors I talked to, and the more kind of looked at me strangely and with blank faces. It was a weird feeling. It was scary. Most people aren't used to that. Usually when you're sick, you go to the doctor and they tell you what's wrong with you and you get better. It was a very weird... How do I word this? It was hard
to get a grasp of the entire situation.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
It was very strange. Eventually my sinuses were beautiful. I had seen all the ENTs in the country, and I'd had all the surgeries. So eventually, when I was healthy on paper, and I was still in the ER with these extremely bad headaches, we knew that there was obviously another issue, that it couldn't be my sinuses. And that's when we started treating it as a pain management issue. Pain management is a big umbrella term. Like a ton of things fall under that. And when I started out my pain management journey, I was definitely practicing the previous 10 years of pain management. We went straight to nerve injections, sort of radio frequency ablations, they were called.
What is that? Like, what does it do?
An RFA for short is when they stick a needle in the side of your face, right where your jaw and your head separate, like by your ear almost. And then they have you under a live CT scan, and then they guide that needle all the way into your head, behind your nose or wherever your nerve damage is. It could be in your knee, your back.
Reminds me of those horror movies, like the
mine just happened to be in my face.
Jeez.
Like, did you see it, like, or could you like kind of feel it from the outside, or?
I could just feel it. It was pressure.
Yeah.
I could feel the pressure of the needle going in. They use tons of lidocaine.
Yeah.
And tons of fentanyl, which I'm not super happy to admit, but that's how you get through it, because you have to stay awake. Is the really like torturous thing.
Why is
about
that?
So I had to tell them when they were in the right spot, and they would. So I was conscious enough to know what was going on every time, because I had to let them know. It's really kind of medieval when you think about it now, but I was in this room surrounded by doctors, and then they would shove the needle a millimeter and then take another picture, and then...
And how old are you at this point?
I was 16 when I had my first one, I think.
Oh.
16. Close to 17, but I was still 16.
Jeez.
And
yeah, every other 16-year-old is probably worrying about their driving test.
Dude, yeah, what
It was
were
different,
when I was
yeah.
16, I was worried about girls, soccer, definitely not worried about school.
Yeah.
or about pain all the time.
Yeah, I was worried about sports and just like, you know, just like little high school drama type stuff.
Video games.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what I was worried about, was video games.
yeah.
Jeez.
I was worried about getting to that.
You wanted to get back to that normalcy.
Yeah, I wanted to have some type of
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah.
To have homework, to have someone pissed off at me, so anything like that,
Yeah.
and have that.
So then
But
what
yeah,
happened after
RFA,
that? Yeah.
they're in your head. They're slowly inching this needle towards the spot. And then when they're close to the spot, they start turning it on. And then I wait for the sensation on my face, and that's how I know when it's on. And the sensation is tingling. It's like a numbing, like it literally buzzes. So that specific nerve, whenever it's activated, your nose buzzes. These areas in your face light up. They
Yeah.
go crazy. So what they were doing was they were poking me with that needle in that nerve, and then they were turning on this little box, and it would heat up the needle, and it would ablate, it would burn all of the nerves around where the needle was. And the hope of that therapy is that when they burn away and grow back, they won't be misfiring to your brain anymore. They'll be working correctly, so I won't have this pain. And I had some success with it. I really did. I would have little spans where I was okay for a month or two, and I would sort of do some normal stuff. Spend a lot of time at Disney World.
I'm sure that was
time.
a little bit of hope. You know?
It was, yeah. I thought, because that was the treatment, you know. I just figured I might have to do these, you know, for a while or forever even, and I was okay with that. But eventually, they did stop working, unfortunately, after about, I think I did 11 or 12 of them. We did this thing called a radio nerve coagulation, which is similar, except after they burn the nerves, they also inject alcohol into it, and that just sucked. I mean, that just, you can imagine, like
can you go into
pouring
depth about
alcohol. I can go into as much as I'll remember.
Yeah, of
I
course.
was pretty messed up. I don't remember the actual procedure because of the amount of sedatives I was given after I was woken from the procedure. But I was woken up, I was told, and immediately screaming pain.
Really?
Like the anesthesia woke off, and my eyes opened. I just didn't even think about it. The doctors obviously realized something had went wrong. It didn't work.
Sounds like it.
Wasn't feeling better, and they put me back out pretty quickly after that.
Was it easy to put you back out, or was your mind like go, fight it?
It wasn't my mind, it was my tolerance
Yeah.
to drugs at the time. I had been through so many procedures, and I had been taking opioids pretty regularly for about pretty close to a year, probably at this point.
Yeah.
Opioids and benzodiazepines just all day, every day, and it took a pretty superhero amount of Dilaudid or anything to get me to go back to sleep. Especially after I had just been out for a procedure. It was not easy to knock me, and it took a minute for them to decide if they wanted to knock me back out or not. They didn't. That's not normal protocol when you wake someone up for surgery. To put them back to sleep.
What were you doing then? I mean, you said you were in screaming pain.
I was just screaming in pain. I was just begging them to put me to sleep. That's all I wanted.
That's wild.
What would they usually do if you woke up, would they just let you just in pain or
I have some horror stories like that where I've been at hospitals where the doctors just don't do anything. And
really?
Yeah.
Is it because they don't care? There's nothing they can do?
No, it's at the time you think it's that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a
but
view at the time.
Now those are the people that almost care the most for you, is when you're strung out like that, just screaming because you're in that much pain over your Dilaudid, not your real illness, and they're sitting there refusing to give you more of what's causing you pain.
Yeah.
Then it's really hard to sit there and watch somebody scream and not help them, but know in your heart that you're actually helping them.
Yeah.
It's really difficult, and I know a lot of people probably just wanted to give me my Percocet and I would go to sleep and be done with it, but I would have never gotten better. I would have died.
So would you say that you were addicted at that point to the Percocets or pain pills?
Yeah, so psychologically absolutely addicted,
okay.
And they call it psychologically and physiologically addicted. They would always refer to it as dependent to me. They'd always tell me, don't think of yourself as an addict. You have an illness. You're dependent on this medicine. Whenever you feel better, you'll come off of it. Yeah. And I was.
Yeah. I almost feel like that's
mindset to me.
Yeah, that feels messed up. That's like telling them, don't worry about where the finish line is. Just worry about where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Yeah. And some days it was like that, man. I mean, you have to. I have this almost little mantra that I use now to judge how overwhelmed I am in life, and I break it down to where at that time I was taking life at some points literally a second at a time, where I had to tell myself just one more second, you'll be fine, and then eventually it grew to 1 more minute and 10 more minutes and an hour a day, so on and so forth. That's amazing. Now I can kind of use that to measure where I'm at.
So where would you be right now?
A day.
A day.
Yeah. Nice. I can think about life on a daily basis.
Dude, well, I'm glad you're spending this day with us right now, man. That's awesome. Shoot.
So
what is it? Well, how about this? Can you tell me what your normal day is like? Because obviously we get to see that, and that's part of the reason I was interested in talking to you in the first place, is just to see the things you do to keep going from that day to day, and hopefully soon a month to a year, forever. But
and honestly, I was I moved to Panama City when I was a senior year of high school, and Zach was one of my first friends here, right? And I didn't know he had this medical condition until a couple months down the road, and somebody was like, yo, do you know Zach suffers through this? I was like, I could have never told, I would have never known that this man is going through this every single day of his life.
This man is like a Professor X right here. Like,
Yeah.
he's
holding it back all
seriously.
the time.
Yeah,
It's really remarkable.
It's awesome. It is remarkable. I want to know, your day, man. How do you deal with this? What keeps you going?
I have to be very hyper vigilant of my sort of life, really, of everything I do, which can be exhausting, for sure. I think my days are very relaxed compared to most 21-year-olds. But it's about finding a balance of socializing, productivity, and leisure time.
Yeah.
For me. So, like my routine lately, I've been waking up at the sunrise every day, and playing guitar at the park. Something about, I've always gone to that park way before I even started playing guitar. And I have a lot of good memories there, a lot of bad memories there. And it's just my park. I have to go there every day. So I usually wake up and watch the sun come up at the park.
That's amazing.
And then I like to drive some mornings. I drive a lot. I like my car a lot, so I'm happy to drive it. I feel like it should be driven.
What time is that sunrise, by the way?
Lately it's been around 6:15.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted everybody
Yeah.
to know what time that was when you were saying it, so I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, yeah, you're right.
It's Fajr time for all the Muslims.
I get up around 6:15, and then I'll probably usually make it home 7:30-ish, almost sometimes 8. And I'll always take a dab. Always take a morning dab.
Yeah.
And I try to check the news on YouTube. YouTube's my main news outlet, just because all the news channels are like right there, and so like you're like they're stupid, and like all of them are right there. Like there's no
it's
separating.
why they choose,
right?
you know. And I feel like
So
it's so
which
raw.
one do you usually lean towards?
Like news-wise.
News-wise.
I try to use the most
Should we-
obscure acronyms I can. So like, I try to stay away from the big ones, like the Fox and CNN guys, just because they scare me if you're attached to any of them. So I look for any of the other acronyms, really, like the CNN whatever, and then the ABC and the NBA or whatever, all those. I mean, it's the same. It's not the same, but I feel like news, to me, if it happened, it's just a bunch of different people's way of portraying what happened.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And news definitely comes down to when a person receives it, deciding what they believe in at that time as well.
I think
not being
YouTube does
told
a
by
good
other
job.
people. YouTube does an amazing
YouTube does
job.
a great job of separating the news into COVID stuff and sports stuff and gun stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's really quite nice.
YouTube has their own YouTube TV now.
Yeah,
We're not sponsored by
they're
YouTube. But
yeah,
it's
no,
just-
no.
Breaking in, honestly.
Yeah,
I pay for YouTube Music and YouTube Premium, and I still don't have YouTube TV. Like, I gotta pay for that.
Wait, no. If you have YouTube Music, you get YouTube Premium.
Sponsor us,
At least that-
YouTube.
like that's from me.
Really?
Please.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't have that shit. No, dude. I was getting ads.
That's why. That's why.
It's crazy, man.
It's okay.
Shoot, but yeah, YouTube is a honestly, just outside of that platform, I would say the best news that we can get right now come from people doing what we're doing right now, where they're just talking, and it's an opinion. And that's why it's also important to remember the fact that whatever you hear, you need to decide on your own. You don't just take somebody else's opinion and say this is a hard fact truth.
Yeah.
No matter who it's from.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
um,
So like, all right. So you going through your struggles of your life, did you ever lean towards more like do you believe in a God then? Like, like what's your entire basis behind your spirituality?
I spent a long time.
you answer that however you need.
Yeah,
as well.
I spent a long time thinking about it. I wondered why I spent so much time thinking about it. Now it's quite obvious. to me. Just if
That's awesome.
if you're given sort of that much pain at that young of an age, then there's only so many people you look to for answers before you end up talking to God. And I did for a long time. For a long time I didn't talk to any specific God. I just talked to God, the man.
Yeah.
Something that was up there, something higher than yourself.
Yeah.
And I spent a little bit pretty pessimistic about the whole idea. I was in a lot of pain. I was reading a lot that made a lot of sense to my logical mind at the time. Just I would think about things like, have you guys ever thought about, do you think God could create a rock that he couldn't lift?
Was I not just having this conversation with you? Was that you that was having this conversation with earlier?
Yeah, ask me this question.
That's a very...
I still can't answer the question.
Bro.
So the problem with that question is it's a power struggle. So like the idea of power is at fault in that question. God can do anything which is possible, but he cannot do something which is in the universe intrinsically impossible, which doing something impossible would be creating something more powerful than God. God would, in theory, have to create a rock bigger than the universe that he couldn't lift up for him to make a rock that he couldn't lift.
Yeah.
The question, logically on paper, when you read it, it's like, oh, that's mind-provoking, you know, that you can think a while about it, but when you really like pull it apart, and whenever you talk to someone who really knows what they're talking about religion, especially Christian religion, I've found, is you'll ask them that question and they go, I don't know what God you're talking about, because you're not talking about my God.
No, I actually, I think I have I don't think there is a solid answer to that question you're answering. But what's insane, the fact that you just asked that question, is yesterday morning in the shower, I was pondering that very question. Because I was asked that question when I was about 8 years old. And from then I was like, that question's just been spinning in my mind. And it came to me like this. And for you that don't know, we do have a pretty diverse view here. Myself and I'd like to say I'm non-denominational. You know, I'm a Christian. You know, I don't put myself to a denomination. I don't, you know, back up any church in particular that is in, you know, America.
I'm Muslim, so I'm a Sunni Muslim. I've been raised really in the South, Mississippi, so I've had a lot of background in Christianity.
This dude's a yuppie through and through.
Yeah. But like, I've always like had a strong connection with Islam, and my family's always been, you know, more centered around Islam. So, kind of chose Islam to be mine. I'm pretty happy with my decision.
A little high five there, because he's been my buddy for a while. So,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I like to say I don't give it a ton of thought anymore, and I'm quite proud of that.
Okay.
I used to spend way too much time, in my opinion, pondering it, and I spent so much time up there that I let life kind of ran away from me down here.
Yeah.
I think on paper I'd probably be agnostic. Just I'm not really for or against anything. I'm just a student.
Student of life.
No, I like that. I like that a lot.
Like really, like
I think about love a lot, though. The word love, and to me, God and love almost mean one and the same. I just think for almost every sentence you could interchange those two words and it'd work exactly the same.
That's a beautiful way to put that.
I think about how, like, if God was, if maybe us right here, like, or even just people watching the podcast, like, if like 1,000 people found out that God wasn't real, like, and they found out that he wasn't real, would he be any less powerful than he is right now? He'd have the same pull on the world because of love. Yeah. Because of what humans have done with the idea of God. That's what's so cool about God to me, is that he doesn't even have to be up there, actually. Doesn't even have to be there. Just the idea that there's a higher power
just brings hope.
That brings people together, that you're in a place, that's the most powerful shit in the world. That's what's so cool about religion. Beep. I'm sorry, but it's freaking crazy.
You're good. No, we will definitely bleep that. But
I don't.
No, I'm not gonna bleep it.
I don't understand it.
We won't then.
Yeah, we should. This is unscripted and full raw.
I'm for it.
The rawness on that.
Yeah. I'm for it, man. I definitely I wanted to have that little quick tidbit before I gave my view on that question, and all of our views are our own. You know, my views don't extend to my family, to my friends, to my work. If you know where I work, my views do not extend to them. But my view on that question, if God wanted to lift a mountain, let's just say that, he could, but if he wanted to make it to where he couldn't, he could also do that. And in my religion, like I said, a Christian, we have Jesus as that. And so that question was given to me a long time ago, and I sat there and I went, okay, this makes no sense, this makes no sense, this makes no sense. And the story of Jesus, I'm not going to jump in all the details of it right now, but in our religion, he is God. You know, there's the Trinity, God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And the way I've started to view that, a lot of people feel like they don't have an answer, to what that could be. But I almost think that the Father is literally this around us. The Spirit is, the miracles that he's, even the love between us. The Holy Spirit, I feel like, can take many different forms, And then as the Son was obviously him taking the physical embodiment of the things he created us to understand what it was like to be tempted and live the life we did. And in the end, he did a way better job than any of us. But, I think that the physical body of him couldn't have lifted that mountain. If he walked up to it, he could have if he wanted to, but that would have been the Spirit at that point, giving him the power to lift that mountain. But that physical body could not.
Never understand the Holy Trinity, because if it's like Christianity is supposed to be a monotheistic religion, then how could there be three versions of some person,
Okay.
Right? Because like think about it, right? Then it's like Hinduism, like there's one main god. I don't know his name, but then there's gods underneath him, but they're all kind of connected to one.
Okay. I'm not very educated on that, so I can't give you too much, but I feel like I've done a lot of what Zach's done, and which is just look and try to find the answers. And in that, obviously, I'm going to try and find answers to the questions from my own religion first before I try to just see what's out there. And one of those being the Trinity. How can this be something? So did you build your own computer at home? Okay, so when you built your own computer at home, because you built that computer, it's not like you're trapped. You didn't build that computer around yourself. Why would you do that? You built that computer here. Outside of your body, you built it there. It's a physical thing away from you.
How would you build it around yourself?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
So if you think about it as that computer that has a program going on, you can't exactly. It's not you, but you can program it. It's a computer code or whatever to embody you, or when you mess with it, that sort of thing. So that's my closest answer to that question.
I see.
Yeah. I kind of. Maybe we should steer back over to Zach. We kind of went on a little tangents, okay as that is. I kind of want to know what this guitar is, man. I want to know the sentiment behind it. It's beautiful.
All right. So, this is...
Or let's ask, before we ask about the guitar, how's your music taste changed over the years? And, like, how's that, like, influenced your life any sort, throughout the years?
Yeah. Loads. When I was a kid, I grew up on reggae.
Yeah.
I loved Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, all those old reggae. And then I just fell in the mainstream for a while, I think. I didn't think about music all too much. I listened to what my friends were listening to, what was popular. When I got sick, I'd say for the first year or so, before I really got detached from society and isolated, I was still carrying on listening to whatever was popular. And then slowly I would start to, how I describe it now is, it was music with more and more substance. Everywhere I went, it was more and more depth to what the artist was saying and how much time they were putting into actually creating the song.
Do you have any recommendations? Anybody listening?
At the time, I guess the artists I'm thinking about right now are like Eden. I used to listen to a lot of Eden
Eden's really good,
when I was sick. Some of Coldplay's first albums,
Okay.
I think, are really just works of art.
Mm-hmm.
Jack White is someone I really like who doesn't get enough recognition. Some Cage the Elephant at that time, Kid Cudi at that time.
Scott and
And
Scotty.
eventually I would escape into music, and I didn't think about it at the time, but I would spend lots and lots of time listening, passionately listening to music.
Do you think that was a positive? Do you think you were getting lost? I think it saved you.
What do we call it? Psychology. Positive reinforcements.
I think it was a good outlet, yeah,
Good outlet,
I
okay.
do. I didn't give too much thought to it at the time. I wish I would have now. But yeah, I do think I learned some pretty unique insights that time.
That's awesome, man.
But when I did, so eventually when all this medical stuff was on the upswing and I had gone back to high school for the first time, I just sort of jumped back in to whatever was popular. I didn't know, it just didn't matter to me, really. I didn't think about it at all.
Jamming out to Kodak Black.
Exactly, like I had no idea. I had no idea what I was doing. And
We also do not condone Kodak Black.
no.
No.
But my senior year of high school, I was starting to hang out with a more adventurous group of people. I was starting to make some real memories. And I had some psychedelic experiences.
Okay.
And they drew me even close. I want to say that it was because I was on those experiences, my brain was opened up, just completely wide open, just to be filled up. I was a teenager, sitting in the woods, just looking up at the sky, waiting for knowledge to flow in. And somehow the Beatles ended up coming out of one of our phones.
I knew it was going to come to that, man.
There was something to it. There was something different. It's hard to explain that first time you hear music and it really resonates with you. And when I say music, I mean a musician with an instrument singing into a microphone live. The first time you hear that and it really resonates with you and they're telling a story that you've lived, it's hard to explain, and you're hooked. You're absolutely hooked after that. And for me,
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
it never stopped after that. I started with the Beatles, and you could spend a lifetime on the Beatles, but I was quite young. I've got a lot of energy in me, so I quickly found people like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I heard that electric guitar, and I don't know, it makes you feel a totally different kind of way.
It does. It does. You know, actually making that music too.
I think that's eventually why I have a guitar now, is eventually
Can you actually show people?
Yeah.
This is beautiful.
it wasn't enough for me just listening anymore,
Yeah, I'm trying to pick it up.
I guess.
You mind if I
Yeah.
let everybody see this beauty?
I'd been listening long enough, and I had heard enough musicians talk about what playing music did for them in their songs. Like I heard them speak about it and sing about it and play about it, and I wanted that. I was envious. The only way to do it is get a guitar and hop on YouTube and hammer away at it.
See, YouTube. Yeah, there's news and we're
So that's what I did.
That's pretty cool.
I luckily I found a good teacher in Anthony Peebles.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's a family friend, and he heard a little bit about my story, and he heard I was interested in learning guitar. If you know Anthony, he's quite a talented musician, and I've had probably the best God talks in my life with him at Barbaritos. Like the most in-depth, just I like to talk about God a lot.
Yeah.
And Anthony is someone where I am super out of my league talking about God with. Like I sit there silently, and I find myself a lot of times he'll tell a story to me and I'll have him do it again. I need him to tell me that exact same story again because it's so much that I can't. It's too much to think about, and he's so young, it really blows my mind. I hope that...
How old is Anthony?
Anthony's in his 30s, early 30s, yeah.
Okay.
He's a dad now too. It's really interesting to hear him talk about that. I've never talked to a lot of new fathers. That's a new... There's just none of my friends are old enough to be dads yet. So it's been quite interesting talking to Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think a lot of people our age spend time worried about finding themselves and who they're going to be in life.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, and there's
Not at all.
not. But what Anthony told me that I thought was interesting was, he said, a lot of people, I think, find themselves when they have children. They find themselves in their children when they grow up. And I thought that was super interesting.
I think our parents
Anthony feels like he didn't really know who he was until he had a son, and his son taught him who he was. And that's mind-blowing to me. I feel like, or just in my mind when I think about having children, I think of being in a place to where I have everything figured out, like I'm comfortable in life, got a wife, got a job, got a house, I know who I am as a person. And Anthony told me that's not the case. Whenever you have kids, everything gets thrown in a washing machine and you come out completely different. It's the most change. Like it's the biggest. He said it changed him the most than anything in his life, and I can't think of anything else you could do to yourself that would change you more than having a child.
Yeah.
That is the most dramatic change I think you could have in your life.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, I cannot have a child, so.
No, I don't. I feel I couldn't. I definitely. And I have some friends that are having children. And
yeah, I have a few.
It's.
I don't have any friends that have children. I have friends that are getting married, but... No.
I'm envious of their maturity and their confidence. That's what I'm envious of.
Yeah.
I'm envious of that they know they've got this. A kid.
I don't know, it's like some
They're
people
my
are
age.
just thrown off, about having a kid, and they just have to deal with it. And so, it's not really about, some people are just not ready for it, but they just have to be. And I think that's what life is, Sometimes you're just not ready for life, but guess what? You gotta buckle down and go for it,
Sometimes it just gets you.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yes, it does.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Anyways,
you want to play some song on your guitar? Yeah,
I can.
Just a little tune. Show us what you got.
Oh, actually, tell them about your CS:GO experience.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
So, I guess if you do ever find yourself sick and in a wheelchair, I happen to be in a wheelchair, so I couldn't do a ton physically, and video games were the easiest outlet for me. I could sit at my desk in my wheelchair and play games all day, and I threw myself into my computer, absolutely, just countless thousands of hours playing games. And I liked that because it didn't matter if you were sick or healthy or who you were, who you looked like, how much money you made. What mattered is how good you were at the game, that game. If you were good, you were awesome. If you sucked, you sucked. Mm-hmm. And that was nice. That was refreshing. That was something I hadn't experienced in real life.
Yeah, that's why gamers, they're such a diverse. If you, I think YouTube actually holds gaming competitions, but it's a huge diversity. That a lot of people, you don't get born into a sport. So that's cool.
But yeah, we ended up really good at Counter-Strike, specifically by the end of it. Playing for a little bits of money when we could, trying to go pro.
Hustling.
Just absolutely grinding.
Yeah.
What was your team's name?
We were little robots. I played for a few teams. I played for Infinity.
Okay.
I played for Bee's Money Crew.
Okay.
I played for... Dude, I can't even think of them now.
Have you thought about going back to it?
I have, but it's exhausting.
Yeah.
That's so much time. I spent so much time being good at that game. My life was being good at that game. To the point where I didn't even play video games. I didn't even tell people that. I played Counter-Strike. That's all I did. And I was over it. And I still am. I still don't even get on that game to this day. It's been years. So now whenever I sit down on my computer, it's very more casual, very relaxing. When I'm going to sit down, I can easily play for a couple hours and get off.
What kind of games do you play now?
Lately I like League of Legends, just because it's... League honestly feels like riding a bike.
Yeah. Have you tried Wild Rift on your phone?
No.
I will have to. I know.
Are you serious?
No, I'm serious. I know. It's I played League since the beginning. Dude, I've been playing League since I was in Gainesville.
Man.
And Wild Rift is actually, it's so much quicker paced. It's not the exact same thing. You really get into League, but if you're at work and you're on lunch break or you go to the bathroom and you can squeeze in, get 20 minutes or so if you're lucky. Yeah. Wild Rift, dude, you get on there and spin through 20 minutes is the longest I've played a game on Wild Rift, where you can get into a game on League that lasts
50 easy.
Yeah,
I've played hours.
Yeah. So it's like the little brother.
Yeah.
For sure. But if you appreciate League, I think you would appreciate that.
That's pretty sick.
Dude, and phones nowadays, they could definitely take it. That's where. That's why we have so many, like, what was it on their iPhones? It's like
we are filming this on a phone.
Yeah, we're filming this on an iPhone 12 right now. But,
dude, we're calling out so many companies right now. Send us free stuff, please. So much free stuff.
It's okay if you don't, but it would be really, really nice.
I love you.
Oh, what song do you want to play?
I don't know that many.
Dude, you just feel it, man. You go for it. I'm lucky to be one of the guys that he sends Snapchats to sometimes when he's out there playing. It's always really good. coming, Zach.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
It was really nice.
And, it's an honor hearing your story, man.
Sick.
It's,
Thank you,
I
buddy.
really hope that, people listen to it, And is there one last thing that if you could say one last thing to anybody that watches this video right now, what would you tell them?
You could affect one person's life.
Yeah, just one person.
What would you say?
I would tell them that they're doing fine.
Yeah, they
So
are.
take a deep breath. You're doing great.
I love this guy.
Facts.
I love this guy.
I do too.
All right.
All right. Well, it was nice. It's first episode. The second episode will be coming out sometime soon. Hopefully, we'll find somebody else, or you guys want to be.
Shoot, the second episode's gonna come if you guys like this one.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we chose. Our wild ace right here as the first one. So.
All right. So before we log off, I want to ask some statistics. What's the likelihood of this actually happening to somebody?
So the likelihood of you being injured during surgery is sadly a little bit higher than most people think. But the likelihood that you'll actually develop central sensitization syndrome, which is what I have now, is I've been told before less than 0.02% in the country, people that have this illness.
That's just the United States, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's still that is a.
That is a small.
I'm sure even on the worldwide scale,
it was crazy.
That's insane.
It was crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a very new diagnosis too, and there could be a lot of people out there that just haven't been in front of either me or someone else that knows about CSS and what to look for. But more and more. So Dr. Slutton is the guy who really wrote the book, Christopher Slutton, and he is with the Mayo Clinic, and he spends most of his time, if not the majority of his time during COVID, just educating other doctors around the country on the treatments they do at Mayo for CSS and what CSS actually is. I know he recently went to San Diego and did a conference for over 5,000 OBGYN people who had never heard what CSS was, and he's constantly educating. They have a clinic going up at Wake Forest that's just like the one at Mayo, so information is getting out there about it, and I think that with more information about it, the more diagnoses might come out.
I agree.
But right now it's a very new diagnosis, that's for sure, and it's pretty scary. It is really scary because it's groundbreaking. It's all trial and error at this point with the marijuana, with the guitar, with everything.
Bro,
no
maybe
idea.
that's why you were chosen to go through this. You were handling this amazing.
Yeah, it's what you have to think. You were given. There'll be a reason one day.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the man himself one day.
So.
Yeah, well, I'll get back at him.